Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is September the 1st, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, 1441 on the ancient sun calendar, and 2021 on the Greco-Roman calendar. All rise and stand. This is a sovereign, ancient, Article 3, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American court action. I am sovereign living justice, Pauline Denise Ritchie, in capitis diminutio, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. My free chosen sovereign appellation is like Tajiri Bay, in capitis diminutio, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. All no United States corporation, company, citizen, nor their agents, principals, heirs, assigns, nor any derivatives thereof has personam jurisdiction, nor territorial jurisdiction, nor subject matter jurisdiction over me, nor over any more. So the first thing I want to mention really quickly before we go into our discussion today is more just, if you want things to be easier for you, and this is just a general suggestion, because you can't tell sovereigns what to do, but if you want things to go easier for you, please do your spirit work. Do your inner spirit work. That work has to be done. The work that controls the energy that can clear the anger and frustration and the depression or whatever it is that you're dealing with, or the doubt or the lack or the inability to use your third eye to see. Do your inner work so that you can clear that energy, so that you can see what others are seeing in terms of, it's already a wrap, we already got this. It's wide open just for us. The way has been cleared for us to do exactly what we want to do on our land, and to have, and to not be in lack. And so do your spirit work, please. And spirit work is just energy clearing the energies that no longer serve us, and replacing it with peace and love for one another, but first for yourselves. Because you have to, when you get to know yourself first and you do that spirit work and you love you, then you can love others in a healthy manner. And, you know, I'm just affirming what you already know. I'm not really saying anything new, but it needs to go on the record and be said. Please do your spirit work. It is of the utmost importance. Your demonstrations are more successful when you do the spirit work, period. They will always be successful when you do your spirit work. So I'll move on from that. So far, we were talking about the governors in the different territories. In every territory, there needs to be at least one governor, at least one. But there can be more than one governor in any territory. Why? Because the territories are bigger than we thought they were, or bigger than we've been told. Okay. So, for example, if you're in Montana territory, then you're probably going to be the governor for Montana, Utah, Arizona, and a few of the others that are nearby, you know, until other Moors step up. Wake up first and then step up. And then if you're in a territory where there's a lot more Moors, for example, on the East Coast, there's a lot more Moors that are awake than over here, for example. So over there on the East Coast, you can have more than one governor in the territory. You can't, because the governors are going to have so much to do. I'm looking at the responsibilities, and we're going to have a lot to do, okay? All of us are going to have a lot to do, all of us, and we need as much help as possible. And whether we have a governor's position or not does not mean we stop working. It means we keep working still, all hands on deck. So I want to say this about the governor's position before I go through the list of governors, those that have stepped up thus far to govern in their territories. And I'm pretty sure that I don't have everyone on this list because there's some emails that I saw come in that I have not had the opportunity to look at where Moors are stepping up to govern as well. So when I go through this, it's not an extensive list right now, but if I go through the list and you want to govern, be the governor, because see, everyone has to govern, but then the governor is a specific responsibility. And if you want to govern in your territory, just let me know your appellation and we'll put you on the list, okay? Because let me tell you about this position of governor. Governor means they, and the governor's positions are public positions. And when I say public, if you're a Moor who likes to really guard your privacy, then you probably want to take a less public position. Okay? Governor's positions are public. So when something happens in the territory, the governor will speak on whatever is going on. But see, when we speak, not only do we speak on what's going on, but we put some dollarium on the table to assist in fixing what's going on so that there's no shortage of resources in getting the problem fixed in our territory. Governors, and this is actually for, first of all, those who sent in documents for the Moroccan American Exchange, you automatically have, and we made this clear at the time, you automatically have an account that is opening or being opened right now as we go through the paperwork. It's being opened, and that account, when we open it, or as we are opening them, and we'll go over one today, as we're opening it, the first thing we open it with is 100 million in Moorish sovereign dollarium. That is the first of your inheritance, okay, is 100 million in Moorish sovereign dollarium. The rest of your inheritance you will bring forth through your lien, your court actions, and any of the other ventures and investments and business things that you do, because we're the heirs to all commerce too. So as these accounts are being opened, this is just amazing. We had the judiciary, the supreme judiciary that we had from the very beginning, where we said that we were going to be doing consular court restoration development as a consular court restoration development team. That formed into a judiciary by vote. And we began putting out laws and sending laws to different places all over the earth, like Bern, Switzerland, to the Universal Postal Union, and to Geneva, to The Hague. We sent documents out everywhere stating.
Well, apparently I've got an account too, because you sent me dollarium.
On that was one of the things that we stated was that we were going to that each Moor get 100 million in Moorish sovereign dollarium or in gold as their inheritance to get us going. Well, we're manifesting that now. We have to do it because no one else owns the gold, we do. And so we're the ones who have to put that forth for ourselves as a nation. So those who have sent in their documents, and the documents are in red and all lowercase letters.
And you get a territory.
And the documents are doing what they're presented in the proper this proper format. Then that automatically, it opens an account for the $100 million to be put in there, but then the amount that you gave, because many more gave a certain amount to the Moroccan American Exchange, that opened the account for the Moroccan American Exchange. And then we turned around and opened accounts for each one of the investors as their inheritance too, because it wasn't just something for you to invest, it was also part of the inheritance as well. So if you have that account, then that account suffices as the $100 million, okay? For the governors, it's $100 million. Your account is going to be open with $100 million for starters. So we are going to need to speak with each one of you to make sure. And the minute the account is open, you'll get a link in your email that says that to click on this link so that you can see your account, and so that we can discuss what's in there, how it works, and then what we're doing also, in addition to the $100 million for the governors, we're also putting your salary in there, and your salary will be prepaid, okay? Go back more sovereign dollarium. So what we did with regard to the governor's salary is we go to, let's see, we go to salary.com and we kind of just look to see what, let me just take a look here, and then I'll put it on the screen so that you can see what the salary range is for a governor and what that looks like. And I may actually have to go to okay, here we go.
September 6th, Pauline,
okay.
That's your deadline for First Avenue. Take over First Avenue on
governor's salary right here on the screen, and I'll go ahead and put them on the screen. And you all just ignore the interloper there. We're not even listening to all of that noise because we got stuff to do. So here, let us.
Islam Empress. Islam Empress.
It's no fucking loss. No fucking loss. Wow, can't hear you, Empress.
Must be technical difficulties with the Albion technology again. I must have fucked your energy up good. I must have fucked your energy up.
Okay, can you hear me now? Hopefully you can hear me now.
Indeed.
It's
Okay,
live.
great.
It's live.
Okay, so you know what? They always get pissed off when we put their butts out of here, and then they start playing with the stuff, with the sound and things like that. That's all right. We don't care. We still going on. Let's keep going. So we got this. We are the governors of the territories on our land, and yes, we are going to go ahead and those who I'll go ahead and go down this list and name the ones who stepped up already to govern, to be the governor. Your accounts will be opening, and you'll get in your email a link to the account. Okay, so that will let you know. So you'll be able to see the account, to see what's in it. Your salary will go in it as well, and the 100 million will go in it also. Okay. Now, we want to, because see, some are still thinking that dollarium is not a real thing, but we're seeing all across the board, we're getting all kinds of testaments from the Moors saying that when they do a court action and they put back that court action with dollarium, and they do that with a witness, another Moor who witnesses and does a court action to acknowledge that we recognize one another, all kinds of things are being remedied. All kinds of things are being remedied, and we're going to talk about a couple of those today. I got a text message just yesterday from one of the Moors saying that a quote-unquote bankruptcy was dismissed. Well, we know we're not any name in black ink and capital letters, but they can't use those either when we're in our proper status, because they've been using those and that blackness to try and hypothecate the estate. But they're even fixing their records when we recognize one another, and there's a sovereign exchange that's being put on the public record as well. Okay? So the ones that have stepped up thus far to for the governor positions, and if I miss your appellation, please speak up and say so. So for Oregon Territory, Justice Amir Hassan L. has stepped up to govern. And let me just say this about this whole governor piece. Everyone who steps up now is automatically in the position, and that's a provisional position until we get our elections going. So we're preparing for elections over a time, and it'll be up to us whether we want to do them in November of 2021 or of 1442 or wait until 1443 to do them. So we can vote on that maybe whenever you all are ready, maybe Thursday or Sunday, or we want to give it some time. Just, announce the vote and then give it at least a few days so that everyone can think about it and do their research and all of that. But we're announcing now that we're going to take a vote on whether we want to do the election in November of this year or November of next year. And we'll take that vote probably a week from now. Okay. And again, these positions are public positions. Even your account information, okay, some may feel a little uncomfortable about this, but let me just say that your account information is public information. And that's why you have your personal account information that you keep for you. But when it comes to the public service position, your account is something that you will put on the public record. And it's kind of like, like when, I'll just use Warren Buffett for an example. Whenever people discuss someone like Warren Buffett or Bill Gates or someone like that, they always say, they announce, oh, he moved, he just recently bought 30 million shares of XYZ company, and he also has 120 million in cash reserves in his account. So these accounts that the government opens and puts the 100 million in, those accounts are public accounts. They go on the public record. Okay, so know that up front. And then when you go, like if you go to the grocery store and you buy milk and cheese or whatever you buy, vegetarian and vegan foods or whatever you buy, that information does not have to go on into this, because those are accounts that you keep at, in your own private trust. But when you're doing public service, these accounts go up there. So when there's a major purchase or exchange rather, for example, for a domicile or a conveyance, okay, then those will need to go into this. Just that the exchange was made, the actual paperwork does not need to be public, because that's your own things that you do. But where government positions are concerned and government conveyances and government domiciles are concerned, that goes on to these accounts, because the government, those are government instruments. So you know how the minister, the preachers, the church paid for their parsonage. That's what they used to call it, a parsonage, which is a house, a domicile. So with this, everyone will have a domicile that is a government domicile. So when that exchange takes place, that goes here. The governor's mansion, that goes on the public record. Okay. And I've been doing some research on the governor's mansions and all of that. And I have a book that was given to me about the governor's mansions. The title of the book is Our Governor's Mansion by Kathy Keating, who was doing business as the First Lady of Oklahoma. And do you know that every governor's mansion out there, the hybrids never really officially lived in? Those were ours and have been ours the whole time. They've been here. The closest they would get to actually living in them was they would move into some small quarters, either behind it or or downstairs off to the side, or they would have their own domicile separately from the actual governor's mansion. None of them ever. And the ones who tried to live in them, it's in this book. I read it. The ones who tried to live in it, our ancestors ran them out of there. I was reading the story of one of the governor's mansions, and I can't quite remember which one it is. This book is so interesting. It's got photos of everything. Everything is still the way our ancestors left it in all of those places. The furniture is still there. Every now and then, if one burned down or something, they would fix it back up. But the only reason it burned down was because somebody was trying to move in there that wasn't us. I know that sounds crazy, but as I was reading this book, I was like, wow. And they know not to. Some of them, for example, Massachusetts, I'll tell you, there's six of them who don't even have a quote unquote governor's mansion. They don't even have any. They make their own arrangements and pay for their own stuff. That is Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Vermont, California, Idaho, and Arizona. They don't have a specific, traditional, historic governor's mansion that they live in. They don't. And all the other states, they don't live in those places, in those mansions, because those mansions belong to the Moors, to the Bays. So as we make this transition and do these and step up to do what needs to be done, we're going to be making sure that money-wise we have everything that we need, and that's being done already. And then also, again, know that all of this is public information. It's public knowledge. It has to go on the public record. Because the people have to know how the government money is spent. So that's why everything is going out there. Now, as for those who have stepped up thus far, Justice Amir Hassan L., Oregon Territory, Justice Dawood Bilal Abdullah Bey, New York Territory, Justice Maurice Lloyd L., Alabama Territory, Justice C. Petit L., Detroit Territory. Justice Morpheus, are you on the call? Justice Morpheus. Yes, you're here. Justice Morpheus Pascal Ham Freeman L. Justice Morpheus, what territory are you in? And you can star 6 if you, so that we can hear. Justice Morpheus, we can hear you. Uh-oh, I can't hear you. It sounds really muffled. Yeah, he's trying to say something, but I cannot hear what you're saying. Can you type in the chat? Okay, Justice Morpheus, for the territory that he is in, is the governor as well. Chief Yachanan Israel is the governor for his territory. Justice Tonas Bey is Khalifa territory, but for Khalifa territory, there are several others there. And also, Empress Kenya is the treasurer for the United States Treasury. How did that happen? That happened because Empress Kenya is the one who stepped up, and by the leading of the spirit, she heard that we were going to be introducing our own currency. And when we said we've been talking about our own money for years, for 2 years. And Empress Kenya heard from the ancestors. They told her to design the currency, and all she did, she didn't even say anything to me about, I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to be doing that. She didn't even do that. She just designed it and said, here. She designed the currency. She stepped up, heard it, and that was within 2 days of me saying to the ancestors, okay, what is our next step, ancestors? Because I know you told me, and if you want us to design it, I'll get started on it. And 2 days later, in the email, without even without us even saying we need someone to design the currency, she came up with the whole, all of the denominations already designed. And when I saw it, I was like, wow. We made a few changes to them to add some further consistency and clarity on them in terms of the red ink and lowercase letters and those things, and off we went. And now we have our own currency circulating throughout the earth because it's being circulated on all the lands at this point.
Islam.
So, and then, yes, so she's the treasurer, and she and I have been working through how we're going to set up the accounts and how all of that looks. She has all of the experience needed, so we went ahead and installed her there because she's done the work and she's doing the work. And we don't really need to go back and forth about a whole bunch of things. We need all hands on deck. That's really what we need. And so she received her pay yesterday, and we prepaid the salary for the year. Okay. There was someone who was going to say something.
Islam. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Justice Morpheus? I'm in Chestertown,
yes.
Maryland territory.
You're in what territory?
Chestertown territory, Maryland Republic.
Oh, great.
Islam.
Chestertown, Maryland Republic. Okay. And, okay, so he is the governor for that territory. And again, these are all governor positions where when things happen, we have to step forward and put the dollarium on the table and say, whatever it is, we have to do our research and see how much is necessary in terms of the budgets, and then put it on the table, and not just put it on the table by announcement, but we have to actually draw up the affidavit, and then draw up the affidavit, and then just one moment, draw up the affidavit, and then and make sure that delivery is received for the dollarium. Justice Onlinne, were you going to say something?
Yes. Rennie Clark, Trinidad Territory. That's my the name that my mother gave to me, or the appellation my mother gave to me. And Onlinne Bay is my moorishe appellation. Governor for Trinidad, or Kyrie Island.
Beautiful. Justice Onlinne for Trinidad, Kyrie. Okay, great. And the reason why we're getting these positions taken care of right now is because we're long overdue, actually, for that responsibility, for that, we need to get this done. And we need to prepare for, elections coming up. And it's either going to be November of this year or November of next year, but we can discuss that and decide. Those who step up for governor, everything we do with regard to our governing positions are done with dollarium. We don't use fiat at all in our government, at all. Everything we do is with dollarium. So we will have governor conventions and meetings, especially we need to do that regularly simply because there's a lot going on jurisdictionally in the territories with regard to everything that has to do with things like coronavirus and COVID mandates and all of that. We have our own set of mandates that apply to the land and everyone on the land, and then whatever mandates that the corporate paper people put out there is for their political jurisdiction. In other words, I can be sitting right next to someone who is, if that someone thinks that they're a part of the United States corporation company and that they need a mask, okay, then they've decided that that's the jurisdiction that they're in. We're on the land. So their political mandates don't have anything to do with us unless we choose such, which we do not. We do have the right and the authority to cherry pick what applies and what does not, and what we will mandate with regard to the land. However, as we move forth, we will put our own mandates out there with regard to that we're not in that jurisdiction, so that has nothing to do with us. That's something that they're doing, and that's a political jurisdiction. Political doesn't even have, it does not have anything to do with this land. That whole coronavirus piece is a political situation. It's not even a medical situation, it's political. Why? Because those who are speaking, they only had political, quote unquote, affiliation, a Christian political platform, period. So, yes, Justice Yezreel says state is also state of mind. That's really what government is, governing the mental. And everyone on the land, we move the way we choose to move on the land freely. And we don't have to deal with their political boundaries, their political opinions, because that's all that is. That's not the law. It's political opinion about a mask and the coronavirus and all of that. That's political opinion. And we will be, whenever we put the law forth, we notify the political ones that we're doing business as a political government corporation. We notify them that this is what we're doing. And each and every one of them will get we're going to do an affidavit that, Justice Onlango, can you, let's see, can you, can you text me, let's just talk afterwards, because I need to make sure that I have your sovereign born appellation spelled correctly. So if you put it in the chat, I will see it. But we're going to get this just with the ones who stepped up thus far. We're going to put out an affidavit, and as that list grows, we will continue to put it out there. Okay, and notify the ones that are doing their political, whatever their Christian political agenda is. We'll just notify them that this is the law of the land. And these are the governors for the different territories, and they're not governors, we are. So, and then we'll proceed from there by just kind of like watching what's going on in territories, watching what they do, and then also, but they're not our main focus. Our main focus is the Moors and moving forth and getting things done that way. So, having said that, Did I miss anyone on the list that I just read off? So we have just under a dozen governors, which I think is great. And then let's talk about the dollarium for a little bit, because we're having just success after success after success with the dollarium. That was the piece that was missing, apparently, because the success is coming rapidly and repeatedly. And when I say success, I mean 100% all the way across the board. In terms of what the corpses do with their corpse, they even correct their corpse records and put their corpse in the right place when it comes to dollarium demonstrations that are being done. We talked about some demonstrations previously and showed you some of the success that we've had with the dollarium where fake courts are concerned, or inferior courts in this case. So we want to speak briefly. I wanted Empress Kenya to talk about a demonstration that she just did recently with regard to a conveyance and the dollarium. And we know that we're in transition right now. So the transition is where, just like with the jewelry and some of the other moorishe businesses, they're saying, okay, let's say if they have something that's worth 150 sovereign credits, they'll say, or give me 75 sovereign credits or fiat notes, and then 75 more sovereign dollarium. Okay, so, and that's working out really well for the merchants, the moorishe merchants who do that. They will accept partial dollarium and partial fiat. And that is causing business to pick up for them. Okay, so Empress Kenya, do you want to just give us quick testament? I'm going to have to unlock. I just got, hopefully Justice Frank will make it in to the meeting, hopefully.
When you take over First Avenue is what I'm
Okay, that's not him. That's not him. I'm looking for Justice Frank.
Okay. Islam, Empress Life.
Yes, Islam.
Last week, I ingested some documents to one of the local banks, and for my terminating the account and things of that nature. And I wake up today, this grand rising, and I can't even get into my account. So I'm figuring they done starting to reset it, I guess, of that nature. Because I have
I don't know.
do I need to go to them now? On my phone, and I tried to log into the account online and through the app, and it said it won't allow me to open.
Okay. So then you're going to have to do your research on what's going on. Have you called them and did a court action over the phone to talk to them?
No, but I sent them their lien and their court action and some dollarium and things of that nature.
Okay. Okay. So then you'll have to, when you call them, the first thing that I would suggest you do when you pick up the phone to call them is introduce yourself by court action. Because that's what I do. I just say, I'm going to introduce myself. All rise and stand. This is a sovereign, original, indigenous, ancient, natural, divine, Article 3, Moorishe, American, Al-Moroccan Consular Court Action. I am Sovereign Living Justice, Pauline Denise Ritchie, in capitis diminutio nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, in proprio redes. What is your name? And then we can talk. Okay? So when you call them, I would suggest that you start your conversation that way so that identities are properly established and that you raise them from that corporate status so that they can do whatever it is that needs to be done with regards to your account. Now, when you do demonstrations, nobility, you don't just throw them anything and just wait and see what happens. Not that you did that, but do your study so that whenever whatever the outcome is, you will know what to do next. And what to do next is always going to be a court action, no matter what the outcome is. The court action over the phone, and then give them some commands. And don't allow them to ask you questions. I've done it. But you have to do your study and always demonstrate at the level of your understanding. Okay? Indeed. And I'll say this. The majority of Moors who send dollarium in, and this may not be the case for you, but from what we're seeing, the majority of Moors who send the dollarium into the banks is because the banks are already violating and in violation and there's nothing in there. We have to know how to speak to those banks in terms of the liens and the court actions, and then making sure that whatever the outcome is, we know what to do next and how to speak to them by court action so that they don't get us back into, because what they'll say is, well, what is this and what is that? I have to know that to help you. You have some affidavits there. Look at the affidavits and then answer my question. I will give you the information that I want you to have, and then you answer the question. And they'll do it. They'll do it. Because, see, you got to remember, these people already know who we are. We've been here. They know who we are. We have to know who we are. So make sure that you do a court action on them when you call them to find out what happened. Okay. And it could be, and again, you just sent them something. When did you send it?
Last week. It's been about 7 days, give or take. 5 business days. But I checked this past weekend, and it was allowing me to get in. But I wake up this grand rising, and it's not allowing me.
Yeah, you need to do a court action and call them and find out what's going on, what's the status. Because the status of accounts do change when we notify them. I'm a living witness. They change. The status of them changes. I'll say this about even my account, and I think I mentioned this the last time or yesterday. Yeah, I mentioned it yesterday on a call, the judiciary call that we were on. When I sent and Empress Kenya, we'll get to you in just a moment. When I delivered the documents to the Secretary for Sovereign States Office, which is our office, I told you all about that those documents were delivered on the 6th, I believe it was. Yeah, it was the 6th that I went down to the Capitol and delivered the documents. Within maybe 2 to 3 days, I'm still able to get into my account and look at it, and things are coming in and going out as usual. But the only difference is I cannot see each of the individual transactions. So the account, what I have the ability to see is collapsed. And I can only see what's coming in and what's going out. And things are coming in, things are going out, but I can't see what those things are. So what I'm doing about that, because again, all they're doing is giving us hints about what to do next. With each demonstration that we do, whatever their reaction or response is, it's going to be something that we can do something about it. And they're trying to get us to do more of our own everything, okay? So what I'm doing about that, about not being able to see any of the transactions, is this. This is how I took that. And I know I'm right because in my knower, I know I'm right. Because I know what we're supposed to be doing. And so anything that's going out, I can actually, I have a list of everything that should be going out, the amount, the date, the time, and everything. So that I can show competence at managing the account. So all I'm doing is laying all of that out in a spreadsheet. And then I'm going to pick up the phone and call them, do a court action, and tell them what's on the spreadsheet and say this is what the balance should be. And when I tell them that this is what the balance should be, then we'll talk about dollarium and things like that. But I'm going to get the current balance correct first, get them to correct their record with that. See, we have to prove that we are competent to manage and govern even the bank account. All this time, we've been letting them do everything. When we swipe our card, you know, the majority of us don't even look at the receipt. We've been, and we don't go home and write down, okay, this is how much that came out, et cetera, et cetera. We don't do any of that when we should be doing that. So that is why I've taken it upon myself to create this spreadsheet that will show what came in, when it came in, what went out, and when it went out, so that I can say to them, this is the balance you should have, and have them to fix it. So I'm going to prove that I'm competent to govern that account, that I'm keeping track of everything. How many of us, because see, remember when we first opened checking accounts back in the day, we used to have a ledger with each set of checks that came. There was a ledger where whenever we wrote a check, we would immediately write down in our ledger who we wrote it to, how much it was, and then the balance in our account. We kept track of that. And then we would send that check, and sometimes it would take 5 days for the check to clear, 7 days, 10 days, 3 days for the check to clear. But we would know when to stop writing checks because we kept track so that we wouldn't be penalized. We're back at that again. We're back in that place where we have to manage and govern our account so that we don't overdraft and overdraw, et cetera, et cetera. And for some, this is going to be banking 101, and some are going to think, who doesn't do that? Oh my God, who doesn't do that? A lot of people don't do it. And then when you start talking about 100 million for each more, listen, in the ancient text, it says, to whom much is given, much is required. He that is faithful over a little will be given much. We're right there in that place. So on bank accounts, and this is let's, you know, I have known some Moors that, you know, when it comes to their bank account, they would overdraft and overdraw and overdraft and overdraw for years. And then when they wake up and realize that they're Moors and that they have an inheritance, they come over here and get all self-righteous and start demanding things. And it's like, well, wait, how did you manage before? How were you managing what was given to you before? How did that go? What did you do? How did you manage that? Because see, a lot of times Moors will come and and after having that type of a banking history, you know, and I'm not judging anybody because our estate's been stolen, but we got to fix it. And this is a part of fixing it, where Moors have written all types of instruments that were not honorable instruments. But then when they do their first demonstration, that demonstration, the bank says, okay, they figured out who they are. Let's make some changes to this account so maybe they can govern it a little better than they did before. They'll make some changes and the Moors won't know how to take that. How does that work? How to deal with the change in the account. Okay. And so, you know, we have to show that we're competent to do whatever it is we need to do. And that starts today. Even if you had a history that was horrid in terms of how you managed your bank account, it's now time to repent and get it right. And repentance is an action. An action. That means we're not going to do it that way anymore. We're going to do it the honorable, right way. And the minute that energy of honorability in banking comes forth, guess what? The ancestors respond to it and give us exactly what we need and what we want. And they give us the go-ahead, to go ahead and move in that direction. It's okay to, you know, I've known more, you know, who never paid the rent on time, quote unquote, in their sleep. Never paid the rent on time. And then they were about to get put out for the 10th time, and they woke up and realized, oh, I'm a Moor. Okay, I can do a demonstration. They do a demonstration, but the demonstration is done 2 days before the 1 day left to be evicted. And then when they get evicted, they say Moor science doesn't work. Well, Moors, we got to just go ahead and put our cards on the table and be honest, and then just get it right. Just get it right. That's all. No judgment. No judgment. Just get it right. We got to get it right. It's going to be worth it to do the work and get it right. So, you know, our ancestors are generous and they're kind and they're long-suffering in that they will give us an opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to keep going and keep getting it right. And, you know, that we have to be moving in the direction, though. We have to. So, and then we have to be honest about the demonstrations that we do. When we do a demonstration, if the demonstration doesn't turn out right because of some energy that was in it or something that happened, or, you know, we're still working on honorability and things like that, then let's just admit it and get past it and keep moving. We got to keep moving. That's the law. We got to keep moving. Islam, Empress, you want to say something?
Islam, it's also a sign that we're doing things right. Because when I woke up yesterday, I arose. Actually, I didn't sleep, but I napped and then continued my studies. Went on
Empress,
my account.
You faded out just a little bit.
What do you mean I don't have an account?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I arose just like my nobility brother. He arose, went into my account, and there was no account. I called the bank, and the bank said to me, your depository contract said that you were a depositor at will, and that we have the right to cancel your account without notice at any time, with or without cause. I said, but what was the reason y'all closed my account? We don't need a reason. Have a good day. And I just started laughing like, oh, okay, that means everything we're doing is working. Because I had submitted my documents to have everything changed to a sovereign account, right? No, like, we don't even want to do business with you.
You know what? You remove the corporate covering, but this is what that means. Let me just tell you what that means. Do you know what a depositor at will is? That means your status went up.
to what it should be. That means you can put in whatever you want to put in there.
Absolutely.
So what you did was you removed the corporate covering off. That means that homegirl is fired, and that the system has to do what you say.
Mm-hmm. And brother.
Now what do? You can send it to that same one you spoke to.
Mm-hmm.
You can send it to them as long as it's a court action and she's in subject status, and she'll deposit whatever needs to be deposited in dollarium. It has to be in dollarium, or gold or silver.
So now the court action is a command, Brother Lloyd L., a command to take that one same account that was a depositor's account and now transform and convert it into a sovereign security numbered account. And actually, it worked out in my favor because the universe told me you're ready for this next step. And so I want to encourage you, Brother L. You're ready for the next step. Now you're ready to manage your estate in and at law. I yield.
Indeed, gratitude.
Yes. We're nationalizing our resources. That's what this is, and that does not look the same as it did when we thought we were citizens. It doesn't look the same. When Walmart opened an account, it didn't look like Susie's account. It looked like Walmart's account. Huge. Depositor at will. Okay? So we just have to know what we're looking at. Know what we're looking at, know what it looks like, and more, we're finding our way through this. We're finding our way through it. But our Prophet Noble Drew Ali said something so valuable and so true. I see it happening. That when it all comes down to it, it's all going to end up in the hands of the Asiatics. Period. We're actually making that happen.
And in our favor.
And in our favor. But we've never really had that, so we don't know what it looks like. So when they say depositor at will, that means that you're the bank. Let's just do the study on depositor at will. That means that you see the root word of the word deposit is posit or position. That means that you can move things around at will. You can put money in or take it out at will, spoken by affidavit. Your will is done by affidavit. So let's just keep going, because every day we're getting more and more testaments of Moors who are doing these same demonstrations. And when they do those demonstrations, each and every Moor is getting a consistent response that says, you're now in charge. You're now in charge. Now be in charge. Be in charge.
Islam.
So I find it interesting, Justice Lloyd, that you couldn't get in there, but nobody said anything about anything being closed. It's something else. It's something to that. So I would call and find out what the status of it is, because the status of our accounts change when we nationalize them. Islam Empress.
An ex parte question would be this, on the banking piece. Once, and this is relevant to the Bay Island Kingdom nation, right? We also have to have our own national bank, the Bay Island Kingdom nation, the Bay Island Kingdom National Bank.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that is through our Article 3 consular court action as well. And that's why I want to say to Brother Lloyd L., you are your own nation.
Yeah.
And you have gold-backed currency, and all you need to do is put your bank in an affidavit and have a relationship with that bank. So you can lien that bank and then command a relationship with your private bank in trust. I yield.
Islam.
Let me just say this more. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. It's not even a matter of if, if the Moors are going to govern everything and have everything they need. It's not a question of if. It's a question of now. All we have to do is demonstrate it. We're in a place to demonstrate that. The path is clear. We just don't know. That's the piece right there. We did not know what it was going to look like when we got here. It's like going into the promised land, but you've heard what the promised land looks like. It looks like everybody can have what they want at will. But then when you get here, you're like, okay, let me just look around a little bit and see how to get from A to B at will. We've never been at will in this, in this dimension, in this lifetime, where our will is what determines how we live. Empress Kenya, are you here still? Hopefully she's still here. Let me see.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yes. So I did a demonstration to acquire a conveyance, and I actually did that with one of the viziers, one of the consuls, Justice Giacomo Aqua. I actually rode the bus to the area where he was located in the Florida territory, and I took some dollarium as well as Federal Reserve notes. So I paid partially in dollarium and partially in Federal Reserve notes, and we did the transfer of goods, the exchange. And then I drove my conveyance. Well, not drove. I traveled in my conveyance back to my domicile.
Islam. So now, Empress Kenya, we were talking about what that actually means. What does that mean when we do business with dollarium, even partially doing business with dollarium? What does that mean? That means that you have determined the jurisdiction of your conveyance. And no one can argue with you that that's not the jurisdiction of the conveyance. Because that's how it was gained. That is the right to travel.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Empress.
I was just going to add that the remaining part of that process would be to notify, of course, the Department of Transportation in your territory, the Secretary of State, and anyone else who needs to be made aware of, the status of your nationality as well as your conveyance, so that they will not pull you over, give you tickets, or try to tow or steal your conveyance. Because they already stole the other conveyance that I had. So I'm in the process of working through that to get my property back, my private property.
Yeah, Islam. That's and that should be the case. Now, for Moors who have quote unquote loans, who got loans on the conveyance, all you need to do, and this is a suggestion, please do your research so that you will know what success looks like when you do the process. Because see, everyone who does these processes, a lot of times Moors will hear from the quote unquote loan companies, and the loan companies will drop hints. And if you don't know what they're saying, you'll think that they're trying to violate you when really they're giving the window out. You have to know what that sounds like, because they're going to say things that they've never said in any previous conversation before, because the status of the property has changed. It's out of their hands. So the process for Moors who have loans on conveyances is do a court action and send some dollarium to another Moor and say, I'm paying for this, we're doing the sovereign exchange for this conveyance, this property. And when you do that, the Moor that you send it to will say, okay, this Article 3 court recognizes you as the sovereign heir, and any property that is yours is recognized as sovereign property. And then you can even say, please provide to this court the following: a manufacturer's affidavit for origin for conveyances. Okay. Also provide an indemnifacere, which is insurance. Also provide a travel card. So that would be the equivalent of, like you're saying, license and registration, please. Okay, a travel card and something, and a title. So travel card and title to the conveyance. And if not a travel card, if you don't have a travel card, don't worry about it. Get your nationality ID in red and all lowercase letters is a travel card. It's also a travel card. See, the national ID does not even necessarily need to be in with anything else. If you want to get Moorish travel documents, then by all means, suit yourself. You're sovereign. You can do that. But I would highly suggest that those travel documents be in red all the way around, in red ink and all lowercase letters. Because I know some are issuing travel documents and they, it's a lot of black ink and capital letters in them travel documents. Don't do that, because you stepping on some trademark toes of the dead. You don't want to do that. You want to, Empress Kenya she sent me a story yesterday even about Afghanistan and travel documents, where they're not at the first of all, let's get it straight. The people of Afghanistan, of the land, have stood up. That's what's going on really over there. The people stood up and said, we're the people of the land, and any corporations don't belong here. That's really what happened over there. Of course, they're going to call them whatever they're going to call them. But that's not who they are. Those are the people of the land over there. The people of the land decided that the only people that's going to get in and out of here is people with travel documents and not United States Corporation Company passports and driver's license and social security cards. They're saying travel documents and not that other stuff. So everyone is awake. Everyone is awake, and all we have to do is keep waking up and stay awakened. Okay, and we're going to stay awakened. That's not even an issue. But yes, manufacturer's affidavit, indemnifacere, a travel card, or a nationality ID card. And a nationality ID card is actually a must. You have to have that for anything that you're doing. Okay, and then when you do the manufacturer's affidavit, you want to put the VIN number and any other numbers in red with all lowercase letters, because VIN numbers are alphanumeric. They have letters and numbers in them, and do it in red in all lowercase letters, the whole VIN, and then you can remove those VINs. And then another thing I've been thinking about with the conveyances, on the back of most conveyances, they got capital letters back there too. I have a conveyance here. My conveyance it's an E320, and on the back of my E320, and it's an old one. It's like 20. It's a 2001 E320 Mercedes-Benz, and it has a capital E on the back of it, E320. Well, as soon as I can, I'm taking that off because I don't want capital letters on my conveyance. And again, that's a preference. Okay, Islam Empress. Were you going to say something? Islam.
No, Islam.
Islam. Are there any other questions or comments or wisdom? The dollarium demonstrations, I got, again, like I said, I got a text yesterday that a bankruptcy was dismissed with regard to the dollarium. So we just have to keep doing what we're doing. That was the missing piece, because the subjects have a chakra that is the commerce chakra. And that's why everything they do, I don't care if it's getting married, having children, etc., everything that they do it from a commercial standpoint. So we're answering that. We're providing the response and providing the law with regard to commerce. Because everything we do can be commerce too. It can have a commercial component to it if we choose. At least now we have the conveyance method, which is more sovereign dollarium. Okay. So are there any other questions or comments regarding anything that we've spoken about? If there is anyone else who is interested in the governor, who wants to come into agreement with us on the governor positions for your territory, please let me know your appellation so that we can
You done muted. You muted, Empress.
Islam, I just wanted to add a little bit to what you were saying today.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding the things that we've spoken about thus far? Any questions or comments? Islam. Okay, so we're going to continue moving forward with all that we have to do. And let's do this. Let's do it. We have everything that we need. Let's move forward. Islam. With that being said, if there are no questions or comments, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs, Islam.
Grand failure.
Grand rising.
Islam.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Islam, Empress Light?
Yes.
Online go here.
Yes. Yes.
You want to get the proper spelling for my name? For my
yes.
appellation?
Yes. I can.